Welcome to Venator Chronicles Podcast. I'm Ethan Taylor.
And I'm Dustin Jelly.
Our hope is to inspire new and old hunters alike.
We hope you can join us on this journey of lessons that we have, are, and will learn through the world of hunting. Hover. We weren't even recording?
What's that?
Oh man, we always miss gold.
I was like,
you always say that.
Did you just bleep
Because
him?
we
Did
do.
you just bleep him out?
Yeah, I was tired of him talking. That's how I just say, okay, Dusty, time to shut up as I hit that record button. And it goes, beep!
And then I stopped talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
That would actually be pretty cool if you had like a little bleep button. Not that you guys are the folks that we would need a bleep button for, but
We don't care if people swear, though. That's the
Yeah.
problem. I swear once in a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it real.
I know.
well, I mean, not necessarily for swearing, just when you don't want to hear each other.
Now that would be a valid.
Yeah, that'd be the only problem. There would be every other.
The whole episode.
Yeah, the whole episode. We would, yeah, beep.
Okay, he's done. What I was trying to say was,
Before you interrupted me,
The mediator controls the button.
We're gonna need our own little Jamie. You should start being our Jamie. You don't
Yeah,
have
you
to,
wanna be our Jamie? You
speak
don't
on
have-
the podcast. You just
you-
get to record
hey,
everything.
if you think about it, Jamie's got a microphone, and so he does
That's
use it
true.
from time to time and be like, "What do you think about that, Benny?"
yeah,
and then we
could.
go
We
from
could.
there.
That way you wouldn't have to be like on all the time.
I don't do
But-
this. Who's Jamie?
So
He's
Joe
on-
Rogan.
Yep.
He is Joe Rogan's like technician.
Oh.
So
it's his internet wizard.
Yeah.
He does all of his technical stuff and
so
looks up stuff
definitely,
like live
definitely,
on the show.
yeah, definitely. Your role.
I doubt it.
You've heard of this little thing called Google, right?
Yeah, I can Google, stuff.
Yeah,
So
I
that's all
figured you could.
I can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Man,
So,
Well, hey, what are we going to do here?
we're gonna sit around outside, fire, drinking coffee, enjoying a cigar, in this COVID, lockdown.
You are a little close for me.
we are in the lockdown
We've had to
episodes.
like screenshot each other in, 'cause otherwise we wouldn't somehow fit into all the same screen.
Since we are YouTubing this,
Yeah.
I am upwind of you guys, so I feel comfortable. Like I don't think I'm gonna get it.
Oh my gosh.
It's only a recommendation.
We got a stiff wind going this way. We should all be safe except for you.
Yeah.
From Benny.
Well, as I've seen in some pictures, as long as you stay 6 feet, front to back, you're fine. Side to side, it doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh. So
So
stupid.
we're safe. You're
so
on my side.
stupid.
Have you seen pictures of stores that have put the X spots 6 feet away, but then they have like 2 X's of right next to each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just because it's not.
I don't know. We could
Hey,
get
it's not
we could get into our
mandatory.
opinions of
It's
the COVID.
guidelines.
Right.
Guidelines,
Yeah.
so-
Have you guys been to Menards lately?
No.
Is it like busier than it's ever been?
No, not necessarily. But Menards has got the X's for the people, right? But the way that you check out at Menards, like the cashier's like in the aisle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They have like a little perimeter box that is like their safe zone,
Uh-huh.
but it's like you're still well within 6 feet.
Yeah.
I was like, you just tape this little secure box on the floor just to make you feel better that the germ can't go inside this little box.
That's like at L&M, they've got like boxes in front of the cashiers. You're still within 6 feet.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just.
I'm gonna be self-incriminating here at risk, at risk of self-incriminating. But my running joke lately, because we have people who will like stop by the house and talk to us outside or whatever, because everybody's getting tired of this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're all American patriots right now. Civil disobedience. By gathering here, although you're all cropped in fake, from post-production,
Yeah.
this is our act of civil disobedience.
Civil disobedience.
Because we're
Yes.
patriots.
We're Americans.
I think
This is
the thing,
America.
the thing that people are coming to, especially with like the first 2 weeks, everybody's like, okay, first 2 weeks, we don't know exactly what's happening, so okay, like with the quarantine thing.
Yeah.
And then it kind of seemed like it's like, okay, if
These
you
last
just
2 weeks, we're like, hey, we all hate socialism.
yeah. Yeah. Ben, what have you been calling it? Your 1 month free trial of socialism?
I call it a 1984 light.
Well, it's like, but the idea of it's like now it's like, well, if you just use common sense and you are somewhat conscious, you quit licking door handles. I know that's been a big one for me.
You've been working on that.
And windows and windows.
Yes.
So-
You've made progress, so we're proud of you.
I've grown. I've really grown.
being more in the closer to healthcare field, and like with us being in the hospital when the whole thing erupted, it was like we're in the hospital for my daughter's surgery, and all of a sudden we're getting videos of like stores and like the whole toilet paper thing. And I was like, is this real? Like, is this we're in the hospital, is this really happening? And it was like, this is insane.
Dude, that must have been intense for that position.
I bet the hospital was just freaking out.
No, actually,
really?
that was that was the other weird part.
that's
It's
nice.
like the nurses and the doctors are like, dude, it's we're
It
just
is what
gonna
it is.
yeah. It's like you just take care of yourself, and for children's, it's like you go through a door, you got to clean your hands,
Yeah.
and that's just normal.
Yeah.
So it's like,
They have probably more stringent guidelines already.
yeah.
That's nice.
Wow.
Well,
People are probably wondering who this guy is.
yeah.
Some
Who
people.
are you, Ben?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Well, let's maybe
We'll back up.
we'll back up.
Back up.
So
How many years are we backing up?
Well,
10?
we'll have you fill in a minute here, but I
Yeah.
think maybe just kind of Ben has been a faithful follower and contributor and supporter
Yes.
of Venator Chronicles podcast, the VCP Nation, as it may be called. And we got to talking a while ago with Ben and talked about the idea, because Dustin and I, we definitely didn't think we'd be cool enough to have anybody that wanted to join us. To have someone like, we haven't figured out the word yet, right? But I think team member.
Team member.
Yeah. Talked about the idea of adding someone to the VCP team. And so it's going to be evolving, right? So far, what that actually means and what that looks like. But we wanted to kind of formally introduce Benny to the crew.
Our first VCP team member.
Yes. And so maybe let's just tell people about yourself. You mentioned you kind of work in a field close to the medical field. Tell them what you do and just in general what
Who
you
you
like
are,
hunting and who you are, all that
How'd
jazz.
you get into
Cool.
hunting? You know,
We'll correct
shooting
you when you
bows?
lie, so it's fine.
So my name is Ben Dvorak.
I'll beep that later.
You can find me on Instagram. Under I don't even remember what my Instagram name is.
It's not Botech 06
No,
or
it's
something
not.
like that.
I changed it.
Yeah.
I'm not really social media savvy, and I don't really care about.
Oh, we'll
social
get you up
media,
to
so
we'll,
this is the
we'll,
other-
we'll get you up to speed.
But yeah, I work for the city of Superior, and yeah, I don't know. What do you want to know? Hunting? Hunting. I didn't grow up in a.
You're a firefighter, just say it.
All right.
He's a firefighter. He fights fires.
I fight fire with fire.
That's wildland firefighting.
Yeah, I do that too in the spring.
That's fun. I do miss that.
My hunting background, I didn't necessarily grow up in a hunting family. My dad, when he kind of saw me growing up that I was more interested in hunting, we kind of went out, but he didn't. He's not, he's just not totally into the hunting thing. My uncle, however, was, and so most of my hunting knowledge, kind of growing up as a kid, was from my uncles. Shot my first deer when I was 12. Turns out my dad didn't know how to follow the rules. And
Good start. Good
Yeah.
start.
yeah. So I don't know if I can get incriminated for telling that story, but we'll just say that.
I think the statute of
Yeah,
limitations
you're
is
okay.
up.
You're okay. It's
Yeah.
you're a young kid and your dad's doing his best. I think you're all right. I heard him talking about a meat eater, so I think we're okay if you start talking about some things that
You wanna
just
fix that?
doing your best. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just fast forward,
Oh, dang it.
20 plus years later.
How old are you now?
32.
Oh man.
You guys are old farts.
Yeah. You're what?
20.
20.
I'm in my 20s.
Are you that
20s.
much younger than us?
Yeah, how
Oh
old are
my
you?
goodness.
I'll be 32 in May.
Yeah, dude.
So
I've
next
always
month.
hung out with the old dudes.
God, what a baby.
Baby.
Still baby faced.
Yeah. Not as baby face as that one grad picture.
Yeah, we won't go into it. Not as cool as throwing a deer over your shoulder.
Well,
I'll tell you that.
too bad it wasn't. You didn't have a deer on your shoulder in that picture. Would have been perfect.
Yeah, that was awkward. Anyway, back to Ben's story.
Back to Ben's
Yeah,
We're gonna move right along.
So as a young adult, I pretty much just loved hunting. I grew up in the cities, and so when I moved up here to like the Northwood, Duluth area, Esco area, all my high school buddies were hunting, country living, shooting bows, shooting guns, and I was like, this is awesome.
How old were you when you moved up here?
16.
Okay, I always forget that you
Yeah.
came up from the cities.
And so when I got really into archery was right around then, because my high school buddy, him and his cousin, shot competition archery, shot leagues during the winter, and then did the Minnesota State Archery tournament indoor and shot some 3D stuff. And so me getting into bow hunting was through that. It was through more of the league competition side than it was to the right-away bow hunting side.
Gotcha.
So that was pretty cool, and it was mostly them, my good high school buddies that kind of got me hooked on it. And then after shooting for a while, I was like, I want to go.
Were you the kid in shop class for every class?
Was I the kid in shop class
For every class? It seems like there's kids in high school that were just in shop class for every class. It's like the only thing they did.
We definitely the coolest thing. Going off on a tangent. If you want to go,
we're doing it.
If you want to go to the shop class, so the coolest thing about what we found out was you could take LSC, machining, welding, and all these other cool shop class things and
Yeah.
get college credit for it.
Yeah.
While in high school.
Yeah.
And that was in Proctor. So the first 2 classes of my day
Yeah.
were in Proctor shop class in high
Nice.
school. And so that was actually pretty sweet.
That's
'Cause
awesome. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, no, it was.
Not too far off.
Anyways, so shot my bow, high school, got into it, started off with a cheap Hoyt Reflex, sold that, got a Diamond, sold that, got a Bowtech, got an email address of Bowtech_Hunter.
Yeah, you really sold out.
You really, yeah.
Yeah, were you? Was it what? You were really into Bowtech, huh?
So at the time, I was like, "Oh man, competition archery is where it's at. I'm gonna do this." And I
Go pro.
I started filling out applications for staff shooters and field shooters, and had a good. Actually, turns out through the state archery tournament, had a good family friend of my dad who was really into competition archery and had been in some big tournaments, and he was kind of mentoring me a little bit. And he ran a shop, or not ran a shop, but ran an archery club down in the cities. And we started talking about going to like the Iowa Pro-Am, and here's how you're going to get into this. And I was like, let's do this.
Dude, you went deep.
Yeah.
You went deep.
And then it was, I didn't take it anywhere because I really, in reality, wasn't that good. But I love it.
That's
I
so
loved it.
vulnerable of you.
Hey,
Yeah.
you were better than a 131 score.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear Benny's perspective on how that went.
That day was awesome. I actually had a ton of fun. Even though you didn't.
I did, yeah.
No. Watching the mental breakdown was, it was not enjoyable to
You mean the
watch.
mental death?
I had my own experience of that during this hunting season.
Yeah.
It is tough to watch.
So,
Yeah, so now,
you were still competing when we were in college.
Yeah.
Because we were in college together. That's
Yep.
how we met. We played football.
Mhm.
You were the field goal kicker on the team.
Yeah, I was like
And we
third,
never
I was
kicked
like
field
I was
goals.
like third third
Third
string
string.
kicker. Like fifth string
Yeah.
defensive end. I got what was that one the game that I actually got to play in was like on a punt return
Yeah.
or something. It was
You take it to the house?
Just kidding.
no, I wasn't the one catching the ball.
Oh,
that's for
what?
sure. The old
We
college football
our
days.
favorite part. I don't actually wasn't our favorite part, but like after the end of every practice, we usually have to do some sort of conditioning.
Yeah.
And the amount of conditioning we had to do was based off the amount of like field goals that Ben made or didn't make.
Yeah.
We did a lot of conditioning.
They're like,
at the end of the
they're like,
practice.
they're like, we need to get some conditioning. Let's get the third string kicker up here.
Who was the center? He was the big guy.
I forget.
I forget his name. Anywho, he's this bigger, kind of chunkier guy.
Well, even
And
the other connection, the weird, just as like a random connection too, is like, isn't that where you and I had met too? Was
Yeah.
through Fond du Lac?
Yeah, through
At the
Fond
same
du
so
Lac.
time.
you
It was
must
years-
have, you
It was
must
years
have-
later.
He played after us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you must have gone to Fond du Lac like right after.
Yeah.
we
It was.
graduated.
Yep.
Was it the next year
Yeah,
you
it was
went?
the following year that
Okay,
you were there.
yeah, because you had come and you were, because there's so many kids from out of state
Yep.
that are freak athletes, but they got to get their grades in order, and so none of them had homes basically to go to for holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
And you just came and you're like, I mean, I didn't live far away, but you're like, yeah, if anybody wants to just come over for dinner, have a home cooked meal, blah blah blah. He came and talked to the whole team, and I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And then we ended up connecting, and
Was De Leon still coaching then?
Coach Turner.
Coach
Turner.
Turner.
Yeah,
Had started.
yeah.
Turner.
Yeah. So
Apparently, when you don't win any games, they like to fire you as a coach.
Yeah.
that's weird. That's weird. I would say it's the player's fault if I was a coach. Just kidding.
Well, they let me play on the
Yeah.
team, so
Well, they let
Yeah.
me play too.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't play at all till college.
just same with me. I didn't play.
Yeah. And I was one of the team captains
I tell
Oh, it's so good.
the second year.
Yeah.
I tell guys at work all the time, like, yeah, I play college football, and they're like,
Yeah.
what?
You're like, what
You
kind
did
of college
not.
ball?
That's why I always tease Debbie, my wife. 'Cause I'm like, yeah, you only married me because I was the captain of the college football team.
That's awesome.
She's like, it was at Fond du Lac. It doesn't matter. Nobody needs to know that. That's what I tell
Minor
my
details.
kids.
Minor
I was
details.
Captain of the college football
That's
team.
awesome.
That's hot stuff.
I just tell
Yeah.
people I showed up to every practice. Never
You
skipped a
did.
practice.
You did.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was,
I
a lot,
never
it
thought
was a
that-
lot of fun watching the guys from Florida freak out about the cold
Oh
weather.
my goodness,
Like
dude.
get in the 40s and be like out there in jackets.
Dude, it'd be in
Uh,
summer. Most of them were, most
Yeah.
of them from Florida, and it was like summer, and they were like full, like
full
garb,
jacks.
trying to like
Yeah.
get.
We're out there in
warm.
shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Me, I was just. I mean, it was no t-shirt, just
Yeah, no
oil.
shirt, yeah.
Oil. Just,
Yeah.
Just oil.
Just oil.
Just oil.
Oh my gosh.
Anywho.
Anyways,
What were we talking about?
so that's how we all got
picture
connected. You
is
guys
so
had met.
grown up
You guys had
later.
met there.
And then fast forward, playing soccer, through the bridge.
Yeah.
You guys met
Yeah.
playing soccer?
Well, we went to same. We were at the same church.
Yeah, we were at
So
the
you guys
same
met
church.
playing football too.
Yeah, it was the first time I had ever played soccer.
Yeah.
And here's the
last
here's so like in high school, this is definitely a tangent. So in high school, I was I played really well and like all conference captain. Like started playing from sophomore year. Never playing football up to that point, and made all those things, whatever. But like when I went to like go to the college thing, I was like so jaded because I'd like spent so much time and effort trying to be good at football. And I was good in high school,
Looking good.
and then like I was relatively good in high school, and I was like just not quite fast enough and not quite big enough, and so I was like so jaded from not getting letters and stuff. I mean, I got a couple, but I was like, these aren't where I want to go, and so I was all bent out of shape about it. But honestly, now that some time has passed, I'm like, looking back, as much I wouldn't change it. But if I were to pick a sport that I actually probably would have done really well at, it would have been soccer, I think.
I think that.
Had I started to play it, I'm like, oh man. Had I done this, I probably would have been a little bit better off. But
Soccer is generally a good sport for skinny white kids.
hey, you're looking at a former skinny
Former skinny white kid.
Still white. Anyways, so we met through. Well, I mean, we went to the same church. I'm sure we talked a few times, but
Yeah.
really started connecting when we started playing soccer.
soccer.
Yeah, which was
That's cute.
you just punish yourself trying to run up and down the field. So it's good.
Yeah. I mean, when you're 30 years old and you're playing against like Hermantown State High School 18-year-olds,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's when I had to quit. I was like, no. I'm either
That's when you're supposed to become a goalie.
I'm either gonna get in a fight
No
with
running,
these punk kids,
and you get to run
or-
into people.
Yeah.
That was always my favorite position in soccer. So it's like, yeah.
So that's how we all made
that's
the
how-
connection then,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, you guys college,
And then
Jesse
we met,
and I
yeah, we
college.
college, and
You and I went to the same church and then connected more once
and
we
then
started playing soccer.
twist
for,
of fate. We started shooting bows, and Ben's like, "Hey, I tried getting you to shoot bows back in college, Dusty."
Yeah, I messaged you.
What gives?
I messaged you when you were going through your crazy addicted to releases and building a big old
that was
100-pound bow or whatever you were trying to do.
It's only 80.
Yeah. I was like, I do remember that. That's when I messaged you, and I was like, dude, when did you get so like hardcore into this, and why haven't we been hanging out?
Yeah.
he's like, "'Cause you're one pathetic loser." Just kidding.
Yeah, and then you guys start hunting. You know, before VCP was a thing. That's when you started missing those deer, shooting over the top. And
Yeah, that's how we're opening
this. This is where the community.
This is how we're
this is
opening it.
where-
Let 'em roll,
This
let
is
'em
where
roll.
the community.
Hey, we're just
is,
being vulnerable right now, on your behalf.
This is where.
I like that. I'm being vulnerable on your behalf. That's a good way.
Just
This
let
is
it in
start
the
it.
fire.
This is where I started getting interested in where you guys were at, because when you were missing those deer, you called me.
I have a lot
no,
of
you didn't.
reasons / excuses for that. Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. In all reality, you were missing deer,
Yep. No, I
Right.
agree.
and I remember that phone call, and you were like, "Dude, I don't know what's happening."
Yeah.
And we started, and then I started asking you questions like, "Well, how high is your deer stand?" And you were like, "I don't know."
I don't know, like 50 feet.
Yeah, you're like, I said, "Is it more than 20 feet?" And
The
you're
higher
like,
the better, dude. The
I
higher
was
the
like,
better.
He's like, I'm at the top of the tree. I can't
Yeah.
go any higher.
and I was like, "Well, have you ever shot from that high?" And he
I don't
was like, "No." And I was like, "Well, problem number one."
Yeah, I mean, aside from the shooting thing, just even again, kind of the whole heart of the VCP thing was like, I remember, and I've said it before, like leaving the woods, the first time being an archer, right? Like archery hunting, and not having the group of guys you're coming together with to talk at the end of the day after a rifle hunt. And it was like, oh, what do I do? I just was like, what? Like, there's no one to talk to, process out loud, like, be like, what happened? Like, it was like, okay, got to call Seth, got to call Benny. Then you and I started going, and it was just like, hasn't stopped from there. So, yeah, it's been that community thing of like, I need to talk to people with a little more experience than me, and to stay positive, because I was like, this is.
Oh, you're down depressed?
No, I wasn't depressed, but I
Oh,
was like
okay.
frustrated for sure. Because when
I know
when
that
you're
feeling.
when you're ignorant of like the things you should be doing to improve it, and you don't you just like, I'm not sure what to change.
Where to
Yeah.
start?
You don't even have the right questions besides like, I don't know what I'm doing. How do I get better at this? And so that was where, yeah, I remember I called you after a miss, perhaps.
And
No,
we
I
talked
missed- I
about
missed some deer.
we talked about bending at the hips and
Mhm.
pinning down.
Yeah.
And it's all the
You're
stuff.
like, where's your anchor points? I don't know. Wherever my
Yeah.
string hits in the back of my ear.
But
It
then
was-
the funny thing, just that season is I missed the biggest buck I've had yet in front of me.
And that's when I quit calling him.
I'm just kidding.
And that's when I called you. I remember we're out in my field right now, and I remember I walked out and I got to my side by side, and I called you, and I was like, dude, I just did the same exact thing that you just did.
Yes.
It's brutal.
Yeah. Instead of
that
everyone trying to
sucks.
be pros, we were like, hey,
Is where it's at. It
Yeah.
sucks. You can share that a little bit.
You know? Well, hey, as long as you take some good Instagram photos and
That's really what matters.
Pretty.
Yeah.
It's about looking good.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's how you get to be.
I don't
field
think you
staff.
missed, actually.
I
Come to
haven't.
think of it, I don't think you missed. I think the deer got out of the way of your arrow, which isn't your fault.
Well, actually,
Are you shooting trad?
we can
Oh, that
say
only applies to trad. My bad.
yeah.
on that buck particular, actually, I can say I didn't miss because I actually
Oh, boy.
sliced the back, and I didn't have any blood, nothing tracked, nothing on my arrow.
Or video confirmation. So this is all hearsay.
it's all
Just
hearsay.
kidding.
I'm making this whole thing up.
Not a video.
That's rough, dude.
But then
Ethan's
it
motto.
was
That's
the
my
next
mantra.
it was the next day that I got a trail cam photo of that buck, and it just had a nice little 3-inch slice right
that's
above
rough.
the back strap, and it was like, oh man,
That's rough.
Oh, you could have been eating that backstrap.
oh man, I would love that. So
Bummer.
yeah,
Bummer.
But anyway, like, so that was happening. Well, you and I were talking about
That
hunting.
was what, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2018 was that fall was my first archery season, and
Things
then
were starting to be
and
born.
and you and I we got together a couple times.
'Cause you
and-
got into archery and you had a bunch
Yeah.
of questions.
Yep, and you were
Mhm.
killing it with the compound, as far as because I
As
had
far as my Instagram page goes, yeah.
Instagram page, and then also just information as far as trying to set the bow up.
A little
And,
information whore.
and we were just kind of going back and forth on strategies. We kind of started following the hunting public,
Oh.
and then the hunting beast is a part of that. Like it was all kind of
Something was being birthed.
Yeah, that's right.
We
And
didn't even know it.
it was only natural that it's like
Yeah.
you've been super helpful, and you were a
Yeah.
huge part of. We talked about you were a huge part of
Probably.
this last season
Yeah.
for me, especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're welcome.
In fact,
Yeah,
if
I
it
know.
wasn't for Ben,
Yeah. I think Ben has some correcting to do on apparently my story about how that
let's
spot
let's get-
turned
let's
out
get-
to
so
be.
we'll
let's
go,
get vulnerable.
We'll recap.
Yeah.
We'll recap of where you guys decided to hunt last year. So, I'm building a house, and
the one
it's-
right behind
They
us.
can see it. Yeah,
Yep,
that
this-
one.
This
And,
beautiful
uh,
house.
And I'm
Got some
realizing,
siding.
yeah, there's some siding left.
Yeah, they can see. They can see.
And I'm realizing that I'm not going to get a lot of opportunity to hunt,
Mm-hmm.
and let alone hunt my good spots, my bad spots. I wasn't going to be able to really hunt. And so Ethan was crying like a baby.
No, okay, hold on now. Are you being vulnerable on my behalf again?
Yep.
Yep.
I was not crying like a baby.
It's
We were
perception.
talking, and Ethan texted me, and he's like, "Hey, do you have any spots that are kind of close to town that I could bring my family to, and all this?" And I said, "Yeah." Yeah.
No, okay, hold on. First of all, you're like, I don't know. Let
I
me
was
think
like,
about
"Well,
it.
Let me think about it.
Because what happened is that I had asked you that earlier, and I had a few pins from some spots in Superior, actually close to your spot, but not that close. And but I had never gone out and scouted it. And the first time I had asked, it was ghosted a little bit, and then he brought it up later when he found out I had a ground blind. Go ahead. You were saying?
So
I'm just going to call this episode Shade. All the shade you two keep throwing at one another.
You
So
can see he's going to
because-
be a great part of the team.
We love community. We're all about helping each other.
He
So-
fits right in, doesn't he? Just beating each other up.
So because I was building my house, I thought, oh, if I can get Ethan to go set out a ground blind, do all of I'll give him the spot, but he does all the work, and all
Yep.
I have to do is go out there and sit.
When you can, yeah.
It would be perfect.
Yeah.
Except none of that happened. It was my spot. It was
That's
my
accurate.
spot. You couldn't put
My
out
spot.
the. You couldn't
My
put out.
deer.
You
I
couldn't
met you
put
there.
out-
I met you there, though. Huh?
You met me there to give me the blind so I could go hike in and put it up.
It's not a far hike. Not a far hike.
So I go put it up, brush it in, get this thing just golden,
Dude, that thing was golden.
tucked in and golden on
It
this
was
spot.
beautiful.
And yeah.
So you got it set,
The rest
yeah.
is history.
Yeah, so you
I
set it up.
I sat one day on this spot. And this spot I was getting a nice 10-pointer, getting a couple 8s and some smaller bucks, and then there's the history that I have in this spot. I had people tell me that I should have never given this spot up to Ethan.
That's love. That's community right there.
That's community. But I gave it up. And even my wife was like, "Why did you tell him he can hunt there?"
And I appreciate you doing that.
But the spot is pretty much the only high ground coming out of a bedding area where I found 2 deadheads and some big buck bedding, and it was a good spot. And so I set out there. I checked the trail camera because I hadn't checked it in a long time. And then all of a sudden I see the bucks that I'm getting on camera there after I already told Ethan he can go hunt it. And I was like, oh,
The details I left out.
Shoot.
I didn't actually know that all this part. So
And
go on,
so,
this is great.
The
so
fairy
then I was
tale
like,
becomes
so then
a
I
horror
was,
story.
so then there was some moral,
Accurate.
there was some moral decisions that I was gonna have to make. Like, am I gonna be okay?
Am I gonna
that
be friends with this guy?
Ethan is gonna go into the spot, and
Am I
he's gonna
willing to-
shoot this big 10-pointer,
Oh,
which would have been sweet.
Dude.
at the same time, I would have been pissed. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie.
Well, let's be honest. You were pissed because I called you right after I shot that buck.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, I think it was like a 10. I'm like, I think it was a 10-pointer.
So here's a couple things. Not
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
not
yeah,
to
no,
your,
go ahead, go
Not
ahead.
to your shame, right?
Yeah.
But I thought if that big 10-pointer popped out, you'd mess it up somehow. So I was like, so the chances of being successful
That really hurts.
on
really
that
hurts.
on that class of buck, your chance of being successful in my mind was not very high.
It's a
So-
75-25.
There's not even 20 yards to shoot there, dude. What are you talking about?
It didn't matter.
You're like, don't worry, buddy. I had no faith in you.
But you had like this luck, so I thought there might be a chance that you get that buck. So
I'm enjoying this story.
0 credit?
'Kay.
Unbelievable. All right, go ahead.
and I wasn't getting really consistent pictures of that big 10-pointer.
Were you going to ask me not to go had you been getting consistent photos?
No, because
You already committed.
the other thing that was happening was going back to building the house. I didn't have any time, and so
Yeah.
part of my personality was I would want you to be successful,
Uh-huh.
even though I would be bummed
Even though
Yeah.
it would have
Because-
costed you dearly.
because I knew I was going to be
Unintended?
able to hunt that buck
Yeah.
later on in the season.
Okay, yeah.
So I still had chance to go after him.
Yep.
But I wasn't going to be able to go early.
Uh-huh.
Because when did you shoot that buck? Like the beginning of November?
It was mid-November.
Yeah,
but
mid-November.
So, and I was still
Cold November
deep
day.
into building the house. And so there was like last year's
Yeah.
season, it was just not going to work. So I made up my mind. I said, Ethan's going to go into that spot. And if he shoots that big buck, I'm going to kick him in the shin, but I'm going to smile. And
He didn't
And all of a
smile until
sudden-
he saw it wasn't the 10-point buck.
And
Just so you know.
and all of a sudden he calls me.
He's like, come to work and show me.
So he calls me when I'm at work, and work is not too far away from the spot. And he's like, yeah, I got it, but I don't know what it is, but it's a nice buck. And I was like, you seriously, can you tell me any characteristics about this buck? And you were like, no, it's the antlers were big. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Antlers.
So I think in
I was like, it's the
reality,
biggest buck I've ever seen out in the woods.
so in reality, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like that 10-pointer walked right out in front of him. And
I
he-
for sure thought it was at least 10,
Yeah.
which it was pretty poised to be. But anyway, continue.
So I thought this just went down.
Was your heart like beating when I was like,
So
you're like,
So you can even the guys at work, just knew I was spinning in circles like what is happening.
how do I pretend I'm okay with this?
Yeah, so I'm happy that you got a shot off on a buck. Number one, number
Yeah.
two, I'm happy that so far this is like a 200-inch deer that I have running in my mind. That the way that your reaction was, I was like, oh my goodness, like. You
My
just killed a
reaction's about
monster.
like that about a doe as well, just so we're all clear. Like, I'm pretty stoked.
And then I find out when you bring it to work and I see it that it was not actually any of the bucks that I had on camera.
Yeah.
But this other 8-pointer that literally just came through that night.
The look
before.
of relief on his face
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. He's like, oh, okay. It's a 9-pointer. Okay.
Okay.
I can deal with that.
Yeah.
So in other words, you did not get a reaction from anybody that you wanted.
Nope. Seth was stoked for
Dust-
me.
Seth, and,
yeah.
stayed away.
Yeah,
2
stayed
states
away.
away.
Easy.
He was like, he was
probably-
real excited for
Yeah,
me.
he probably faked it.
What about your
over the phone?
What about the brother that helped you pull it out?
Ben loves it. He was stoked. Yeah.
No, there was my family was stoked.
So in other words, his VCP communities
Yeah, fell
basically
apart.
told him F off.
Yeah, as soon as I was successful, everyone's like, well, we're your friends until you actually do something we're jealous of.
I saw the buck in the back of the truck. I gave you a hug, gave you a pat on the back, and I said, "Good job." I was happy
You
for
did.
you.
I'm actually, knowing the details of this, I'm actually very touched by how well
The thought process and the things you did have to give up, and also now I feel guilty and I don't want to go back there again. Continue.
No, I'm serious. I really do appreciate it. I didn't realize all the things wrapped up in it, and that's
So here's the other thing, rewinding again, my hunting. I have always loved getting people out shooting their first. So
Yep.
whether it's their first buck with a bow, doe with the bow,
Uh-huh.
shooting their first duck,
Yeah.
whatever it was. I've always enjoyed bringing people out. And so my buddy Aaron, he got into bow hunting. Same thing, first couple sits with him in a deer stand, it's like, this is just the seeing what hunting does to people that it's their first time.
Yeah.
Is just, it's an awesome experience.
Yeah.
And so if I could be a part of the both of you, even like late season with you at the trad bow, sitting out, the four of us.
That was so funny.
It's-
That was amazing.
That was
man.
amazing. If
That was honestly one of my favorite.
If you haven't seen the video, go to our YouTube page and check out the video of the
Yeah.
public land dispute video.
Yeah.
I can clarify that. If anybody's giving you guys any shame on that.
No, we haven't had any shame. It was great.
Um,
That was a great day.
But it's
That was
like
a great memory.
Every
Was.
time I was with you, I was like, dude, I want to be there when you finally smoke one. I
when you
was like,
finally hit something with that little stick of yours.
no, but it's the same thing. It's like I want you to succeed and.
Well, that was
being there when you succeed.
That's
is fun.
what was cool is like we all like Dustin. It was the one time we've shared before. The one time where I didn't text you, you didn't text me, and we've been texting about this basically doe spot
Mhm.
that we were going to be going to, and again, just quick, easy access. You didn't have to spend just like if you're short on time, you can head this way, and if you're looking to fill your freezer, it's a good spot.
Yep.
Well, Dustin and I went out, and then you and Shane came out, and instead of us there's obviously the little bit of deflation that probably we all felt, so like, dang it. But it was cool to see all of us within a few minutes worked out how it's going to go down.
So I've been in that spot before.
Yeah.
Like that predicament.
Yeah.
And where it's like I've had buddies say, hey, I text one buddy, hey, can we go hunt? Let's do this, and all of a sudden I get another buddy says, hey, you remember 2 weeks ago you said we'd go hunting this weekend? I'd be like, oh. So now all of a sudden there's three of us.
Yeah.
And literally that day, this rewinding to this hunt, I put 3 hanging stands all in one tree, right above each
Seriously?
other. Boom, boom, boom. All 3 of
Yeah,
us in
yeah.
one tree. And we shot 2 does.
That's awesome. That is
3 guys
awesome.
in one tree.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
so it's,
Nice.
you just gotta just work with it,
Yeah.
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 You adapted. That was legit.
So my question for, obviously, when you go back to that spot, will you be drinking some coffee?
No.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
I heard that's
I
the key.
Yeah.
The coffee buck, what's really weird is that, didn't you call me right before?
I don't know if I
Were
did
we
or
ta-
not.
Were we talking?
Probably texted. I don't imagine Ethan calling.
I don't know if I called you. I think I called people after. What would I have called you about?
I don't know.
I don't know if maybe.
Maybe
I mean,
we were texting because you were like, I'm not really seeing much, and you were asking me because I was there 2 days before and I
Yeah.
pulled the camera and stuff,
Yeah.
and so I think you were asking me what have you been seeing?
Timing and how long to sit out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was probably some of that. I'm assuming I was texting you, but it was right at the point where the only reason I was drinking coffee is because I was about to walk out, and then it all happened. But it was
good memories.
crazy. Yeah, it was
good
crazy how
memories.
that all unfolded.
Yeah.
So, any plans for this year? Will you be
Um,
able to do more hunting
yeah.
now that the house is
Sort of done.
it's up?
Yeah.
Hey, I heard
Living
you have
in
some
it.
stuff in writing.
Yeah.
So let's rewind this, right?
How many rewinds?
Ben
We're
starts
gonna
every
rewind.
story with
He's
let's
gonna
rewind.
Yeah, he's-
Just look back. My wife and I, since we got married, I said, I hunt. I like wild game. This is what we're going to do for food. Our red meat is all venison. We don't buy beef unless it's like a steak night. We want to go buy some ribeyes or something. But all of our red meat is venison or duck. And she's been a trooper through this whole thing, and she loves it. And so deer hunting has been a part of our grocery list. And
It's just a normal grocery shopping Friday
like it.
night. We're going hunting.
yeah. And she has shot 2 deer, both pregnant. And yeah,
the deer or her?
yeah.
Her. Okay.
We're gonna go her.
All right.
I I'm pretty
And
sure
so,
she'd be poaching.
so when we were building the house and we just weren't having opportunities to go hunting, it was painful too because out in the field where we're at, we would watch
Yeah.
Just a herd.
just the deer come through. I got, thanks to a buddy that I worked with, put 2 food plots out here, and so it just, we saw all the deer we
I
wanted
remember
to see.
you guys were sending me videos. I remember you sent me some videos.
Yeah, I had a
It's like, yeah.
bachelor group of bucks, early season, just cruised right through here, and
Oh.
it's like, I got to get my house done.
Yeah.
'Cause my wife is going to kill me if I don't get her
Yeah.
out of living at my brother and sister-in-law's and
Yeah.
have her own place. But we needed meat. We
Yeah.
were in desperation of needing meat, and so last year we ended up just shooting 2. I'll just say it. They were fawns. But
I'll just say it.
but they were late season fawns, so they had a few more months to
Yeah.
mature a little bit
Yeah.
because we shot them in January. I mean, it was late. It was
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah, it was really cold. A lot of snow.
Yeah, and it was that was the only time that I could actually get out last year was that late.
Yeah.
Just from being busy all fall building the
Yeah.
house. But this
Jeez.
year, my wife said that we need to fill all of our tags because the other thing is last year I had like 6 tags.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know how
I
that
had
goes.
5.
Yeah, so it was
It's
like
tough.
Yeah.
we had all the plans set to hunt and fill all the tags, but just time didn't
Yeah.
allow. So
Jeez,
Eggs-
I owe
and
you some
cake
meat,
soup.
man.
Yeah.
I owe you
Soup
some
does
meat.
not taste. Yeah, you do.
My ground venison will be done in the next week or 2. So
A good
I'll
community
get you
member
some.
would share.
yeah. Now knowing
With
more.
all of his
now
community.
knowing more
'Cause
details.
Since we are in a
pass
socialist
you
state
some
right
venison.
now,
Yeah.
we share with everybody.
Yeah, the difference is
So-
the government's not telling me to do it, so I'm willing to do that. I'll comply with my own thought.
can I request backstrap because
You
the
can sure
backstrap-
request it.
The backstrap on these fawns, we just had some yesterday for Easter.
Yeah.
And the backstrap on the fawns are maybe only like
A foot long.
an inch plus thick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where normally on a decent buck they're like 2, 3,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. I can get you some backstrap
Yeah.
if there's any left
Well, so
from the doe or the buck. I'm not.
so
gonna
the
tell you which one.
contract so the contract that I have with my wife is that we get to try to fill all of our tags as soon as we can. So
Nice.
hopefully I'm gonna do some more early season
You gonna
hunting.
do some hunting out here this year,
Yeah,
or is it?
I don't want to incriminate myself too much with my wife because she thinks I'm purely a trophy hunter. Because the years prior, I had a couple of giants on camera that I was going for.
Committed
And,
to.
and I didn't shoot anything, and then I missed that nice buck that 2 years prior.
Dude, it is that balance. It is that balance of like filling the freezer and going after certain goals. It is.
That's why I haven't gotten anything this last year.
Yeah, just holding out.
There's nothing big enough for me.
Yeah.
Maybe shift gears a little bit. What about with adding maybe to the team? You shared with us some of your thoughts about what that looks like to you, and some of the things you're really interested in doing. And like I said, it's going to be evolving as far as I don't know, involvement, whatever it is. I guess part of the idea for us, like as we were all talking about it, is really the idea of Venator Chronicles as a community and reaching and being bigger than just Dusty and I, because we're just 2 people with limited amount of time, like everybody else. And
Only thing big about us is our egos.
yes, that's it. That's it. And that's what we chip away at every time we
Yes.
talk.
Yeah.
Is at each other's egos. So happy to have you chip along with us. But no, I think maybe share some of because you have some different a different
Goals
vein
and
of goals and
aspirations.
things that you're interested in, that you'd be kind of carrying the name, so to speak, in areas that him and I are not in, or maybe just getting into. Dusty. Soon, Dusty.
We got like 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, okay. So
That long?
Yes.
So just maybe share some. We'll finish that off camera and off record.
Yeah.
But maybe share some of the things you've thought of and that you kind of shared with us about what you kind of envision it as, and some things that you want to bring that Dustin and I can't bring right now, at
Sure.
least.
So the community thing, when you guys first started off, I was like, oh yeah, podcast. I still am not huge into social media, so I'm working on that. It's a problem.
He's building his platform.
Some people would say that's not a problem.
Yes.
So it's okay.
It's all right.
And but the community aspect of it and bringing people in and sharing resources, sharing stories, sharing knowledge,
Spots.
sharing spots, sharing encouragement, technical stuff, all of that I think is a positive for the hunting community, and I think that's important, and I think that's what drew me in right away, what you guys were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thought of, for me, it's how to get others involved with it. And there was a period of my life for 3 years that I did not shoot a bow.
Maybe we'll share that in a future episode
Yeah.
on hard lessons.
And in that time of my life, I was totally into duck hunting. Like hardcore into duck hunting. I got 2 duck hunting dogs. We'd go out to North Dakota every year, me and my uncle, and then it was me and my buddies, and duck hunted.
I didn't even know you had duck hunting dogs.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
It's hardcore.
yeah,
Hardcore.
and I went, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota. That's just what I was into, and so for pretty much for those 3 years, hardcore into duck hunting, and then now, kind of expanded, up here, and it's not, duck hunting is not the best in our area, but it's definitely fun, and you can find spots and enjoy yourself. And the other thing about duck hunting is that community-wise, you can talk in the blind. You don't have to worry about scent. You don't have to worry about wind.
I don't worry
you
about
don't have
scent.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
my
just so
thing
many.
covered.
There's just so many things that you don't have to worry about, and so bringing novice people out that have never been hunting before, or somebody that you just need them to be comfortable in that environment. You don't need them to worry about being quiet. You just got to keep them warm and keep them entertained.
Make
The-
breakfast out there, maybe. Who
yeah,
knows?
The duck blind is where it's at. Like that's just, to me, that is 100% where it's at. And so, that's how I introduced my wife to hunting was
Nice.
through the duck blind, and she loved it. She fell in love with it and fell in love with me, which was nice.
Which one did she fall in love with first?
I don't know. I have to ask
We'll
her
have to
that
ask her.
question.
Yeah.
Did you marry me because you love me, or do you just love duck hunting?
Yeah. So funny story. The first duck hunt I ever took. This is where I was like, I'll marry you. The first duck hunt I took her on, we were sitting in the boat, and they get this diver duck is flying right at the boat, gonna come right in the decoys, and I shoot, fold it up, and it launches straight through between us in the boat. But it sprayed blood the whole way.
Oh, jeez.
And so it comes flying in between us, and all of a sudden I look back, and she's got blood on her face, blood all the way across her jacket. And I was like, oh. And she was like, oh, that's so gross. But the smile on her face was like, but this is awesome because
Ben's just like, oh, that's so hot.
we just shot,
Oh my god.
we just shot this duck, and it was just like the look on her face when that happened. It was like, this is, and
That's it. She's a
think-
killer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna marry her.
and I think we were just dating. Yeah, we weren't.
Such a bad standard.
My wife's a killer. Let's not play that out in any other scenarios.
My wife is a killer though.
Absolute murderer.
She is a trooper. Oh man, there's so many stories. So we had a grouse fly into the window
Okay.
at one of our old houses, and she calls me and she says, "Hey, this grouse just flew into the window. What do I do?" And I was at work, and I do 24-hour shifts, so it was like, I can't come home and clean it. So I
Yeah.
was like, "You have literally seen me clean hundreds of ducks. Like, I'm confident you can do this." And she's like, "I don't know if I can." And I was like, "Grab my knife, go out, pull open up the breast, flay it out, do the thing." and she sends me a picture of 2 like perfectly flayed out grouse breasts, and it was like, yes, like
I will marry you again.
this is awesome. And yeah, my wife gets a hard time because before we got together, she was more of I don't know how to say this without her getting mad. She was more of a
City girl?
city girl, cosmetology, pretty, had to have her hair done right. Took her like 3 hours to get ready in the morning, and
Jeez, you are gonna get in trouble.
yeah, no.
We'll bleep this part out. We'll just
In my defense, she probably will never listen to this podcast. So
yeah, my wife
I'm
doesn't
good.
listen anymore.
I'm good. But so she gets actually a lot of hard time with her from her family, because her family is like, what did you do to my, like her brother is like, is just dumbfounded when she's like shooting deer or shooting whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, what did you do to my sister?
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
going back,
Let's
rewind again.
Let's rewind again.
So
for the fifth time.
So kind of what we talked about is just using resources and helping you guys grow, helping VCP grow, helping the hunting community grow, and going back to kind of my personality of wanting people to succeed. It's like I looked at either the resources I have by the people that I know, or like my skill set or things that I can bring. I thought I could contribute to hopefully you guys being more successful and VCP growing, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what
We
I was
agree.
thinking.
We agree. Well, and the rewind, as somebody likes to say, when you first approached us about being part of the VCP team, what was I think the term you used was like pro staff or something. Well,
Yeah, it was pro staff.
It was pro staff, and so
Dusty was a hard no.
So Ethan and I, we had this discussion because, in all honesty, when I saw the word pro staff, I got really hung up on that word pro staff.
He threw up 3 times.
I did throw up, and started having convulsions.
Night sweats.
Yeah, because it wasn't you. It was the whole idea of like pro staff.
Yeah.
Because I think what I see when I see pro staff 90% of the time, especially on like social media, is just like people wanting to be pro staff to get free product or notoriety.
Yep.
It was just like, oh man. And so as the more we discussed it, though, we realized like, okay, by we I mean I. This is a marriage we. It's a singular we. How I was totally like missing the point, and Ethan helped me realize the error of my ways. And we're like, yeah, like that's a chance to grow the team. And like when I started seeing like that's really what it was is growing a team, and not because like the whole idea of a couple of basic white dudes with the podcast having pro staff. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I probably I don't remember what I was necessarily thinking when I sent out that word.
Yeah.
But that's not what I was thinking.
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
it was. Yeah, the more we discussed, it was like, oh, this is great.
Well, yeah.
because part of it too is like I'm kind of protective of the things that you build, and you're like, well, I don't want.
And it was a weird thing for me because I didn't want to invite myself in.
Hey
right?
guys,
Yeah.
I'm here.
But at the same time, you guys already kind of invited me in.
Yep.
Like we were doing, BowFest
Yeah.
and talking, and so I felt like I was already a part of the group.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when I had a couple ideas in my head of like kind of things that I want to do
Yep.
for the hunting community. One is for people with disability. I have a buddy that his brother is a paraplegic, and we've talked to him and his other brother-in-law about getting him out duck hunting.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'm in. Like, I will make my duck blind ADA compliant
Yeah.
in a heartbeat to
Yeah.
get somebody out there that has never had that opportunity
Yeah.
given their disability. And so
Ooh, that wind.
Yeah, it's kicking up.
And so that's where I thought through VCP and making this more of an official thing, that might be a good way to get some resources to start something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you had mentioned like being able to like kind of carry a name when you're kind of presenting or you're looking for help or donations, whatever it is. Like to have something along with that besides, hey, I'm Ben.
Yeah,
and
kind of
I'm,
have an established
Yep.
name and brand.
Yeah, and I think for Dustin and I, as we were talking about it, just understanding like we get to define what it means, whatever name we choose. It's like we're defining what it is and redefining it maybe in some ways. What all that means and what that entails when we say someone's a team member or whatever.
Because it really comes down to the whole. I think team is probably the best
Yeah.
verbiage to use for it. Is that it's building a team, a community of like-minded individuals who share the same passion with particular goals.
Yeah.
And like you've shared, just having certain skill sets and passions that can take. The community into other directions that I couldn't. Like I haven't duck hunted. I know someday when I do duck hunt, I will love it, and that's why I'm holding off 3 to 5 years. Otherwise, because I don't have enough money or time right now to invest the money and time I
You
would
don't
want
go
to.
head over heels for things like that, though,
I
Dusty,
do
at
not.
You
all.
don't go all in on
do
anything.
not go all in.
Aren't you getting
I-
a
'cause
hunting
I
stimulus package soon?
Yeah.
If my financial advisor lets me, because
That's the best part about having like 13 kids, right? It's like $500 a piece.
I know.
You're gonna be
Yeah,
set.
I'm gonna be set. So I think that's just been a great opportunity as we discussed to just grow as a whole as a community, and I'm excited to see, just what this year and the next few years brings, and along the lines of duck hunting, I was thinking as you're talking about that, I'm like, hey, this might be a great way to maybe do a double date with you and your wife. I'll bring my wife out, and and we'll hang out.
The duck
In a
blind.
duck blind.
The duck blind. I'm telling you, the duck blind is a great place to take people like that have never hunted.
Because I think my wife would really like that.
Yeah, and it's comfortable. I have a heater. I got a stove. I made a cherry cobbler out in the blind.
Okay, I'm sold.
Like it's
We're
like,
going duck
it's-
hunting
it's-
this
it's-
fall.
We're duck hunting. Yeah,
can't-
in air quotes, duck hunting.
You can't do that deer hunting.
Well, you
Like,
can, but you apparently don't have success.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never shot a deer frying bacon before, but
Have you ever tried? That's the question.
I haven't. I haven't.
I might
But
have to try this.
I have shot many ducks while frying
For
bacon.
That's
I
awesome.
like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
this
cool.
has been a great discussion.
Yeah. Welcome to the team
welcome to
officially.
them. And a little coming out with Ben.
Yeah. That's a weird way to put it, but all right.
All right.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up and let's maybe fling a few more arrows before we head out.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Thanks
right.
for listening, guys.
Peace out.